Welcome to Iowa Pagan News, your informative internet radio station catering to all pagans worldwide. We are dedicated to bringing you the very best in music, news, events, and lots of fun stuff. Come tune into our new podcast at www.pldn.podbean.com. Now, here is your host, Lou Silverwolf Williams.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of Pagan Artist Spotlight on the National Pagan Network. And this afternoon, we are joined by, as always, special guest Edward Sott, who is the publisher now of the newest magazine, Today's Witch. And then also our special guest, Reverend Terry Riley from the Southern Delta ATC. Welcome there, Terry. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
I'm glad to be here.
All right, Ed, seeing how this is that you're the one who came up with this, you start us off here. Go ahead.
Terry, I'm going to ask you a few questions about the Southern Delta, when it was formed, and so forth. So if you want to start with a little bit of history on the church.
Okay. The Southern Delta Church of Wicca was established in January of 1994. That's when we got incorporated with the state of Little Rock. We've been a part of the Aquarian Tabernacle Church since 1993. I think I hooked up with Pete Davis and the ATC right after I had the march. I know he ordained me in something like September of 93 and initiated me. Yeah, we've been working in, we started out in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Right now we're in Lake City, Arkansas, a little subdivision of that town. We've been operating here now, going on 30 years. So that's our basic history. We've got, on the books, we got about 350 members. Thank the goddess they don't all show up at a circle because I don't have enough room for them all. But that's the way churches go. You know how pagans are, like herding cats. So, you'll have 20 show up for a circle, and then next time you'll have 100. So you just never know how it's going to work out. But yeah, we've been promoting the religion of Wicca, and we offer classes, all open Sabbats, all open new moons and full moons in person. We do a weekly devotional ritual for those that, can't come out for the moons and stuff if they fall. We're one of the old witches that do the new moons and the full moons on the actual day of. We will sometimes push our Sabbats closer to the closest weekend, except for Samhain. That's always got to be done on the 31st. We just celebrate it.
Do you guys practice a specific Wiccan tradition?
No, we're a eclectic church.
Eclectic?
Yeah. We some rituals we call upon. Sometimes we just, according to generalized Wicca, I hate to use that terminology, but there's only three deities in Wicca: God, Goddess, and Spirit. And you can call them All Father, All Mother, or Great Mother, Great Father, and Spirit. Or you can add pantheons, from different cultures and stuff. And a lot of times we'll do the eclectic thing and just call on the God and the Goddess and the Spirit. Other times we'll do Greek pantheons, we'll do Egyptian pantheons, Celtic, whatever the flavor we're feeling at that night and stuff. And we honor all traditions. They're all equally valid. So, we got a multitude of people coming to our church. We have some Celts, follow the Celtic tradition. So we got a couple of Buddhists that come to our church. We even got a few Christians that show up every now and again just because they like us, which is unusual.
Well, yeah, I would say that's a little bit unusual because,
I think it's awesome that you basically unify within all the pagan community within your traditions to bring it together where it's no one tradition overriding another one. Now, I think that's an awesome concept.
Yeah. Our basic philosophy that I teach our clergy is, and I tell them, so when people come through our door, we need to get to the point to where we can minister to them And our job as clergy is to help them get into a closer communion with their concept of their deity, not the church's, not mine. Because Wicca is basically an individualized religion. Everybody has a different way of worshiping their gods within themselves and in their own private thing. And our job as clergy, if we're going to be eclectic, is to facilitate a closer communion with their idea of their deity, no matter what deity that is. So, that's the philosophy work from that point of view.
So basically your concept and your idea is similar to mine in a lot of ways, because I have a belief in the aspect of, we use the God-Goddess consciousness as a archetypal principle, that there is a divine creative force, but there's no defining that, because it's infinite and you can't put finite limits on saying.
Yeah.
So I guess we share similar views on that.
Yeah, similar views. I mean, I tell everybody I'm an initiated I'm a ordained Wiccan priest. I'm an initiated Druid, and the Druid philosophy is all gods and goddesses of all pantheons are aspects of the one true spirit. So, they're all equal and valid. So,
all right. Next question I have for you, Terry, is I know over the course of the 30 years, you've seen your ups and downs within the church and the community you lived in. I mean, I remember even going back a little bit before, when you had your store and everything, and you actually were attacked by the community in Jonesboro for having a pagan store in the Bible Belt, basically.
Yeah.
And I do remember the March on Fort God.
Yeah. Got the video on our website, our church YouTube channel, if you want to look at it.
And everything else. But one of the things that I've noticed is you're doing something that most people are not in the pagan community, and I'm really pleased to announce that you've done this. You've actually united your own community, the community you're living in, with a food bank that you're offering this to the general public entirely, letting them know that us pagans are not the enemy, and we're not the burn them at the stake thing, that we're humanists, we're spiritualists, and stuff like that. And I really appreciate it. I want you to expound a little bit on what gave you the idea of doing that and how you came about that, because I think it's awesome.
Well, started about 3 years ago. My grandkids go to the grade school here in Lake City, and I was over there talking to the grade school principal, and I just happened to ask, how many children in the school are on free lunches? She said about 2/3. Now, Lake City is a small community. There's only about, a little over 2,200 people in town. So I got to thinking about that, and I thought, well, 2/3 of the children in the school are on free lunches. That means that they're coming from families that are probably low income and food insufficient. So I came up with the idea of starting a community garden. We took part of our parking lot and plowed it under and started growing vegetables. And then we gave them away and put up a vegetable stand that people can just come by if you're in need to go ahead and come by and get the food. Well, it took a while, but the people gradually started coming to the vegetable stand. I said, they don't want to come in, at this particular time. I know how people are, if they're unsure about who we are and what we're about. So I put a sign up, said free produce. Just come by and get it. That way they didn't have to talk to nobody. They just come by and get their bags and fill it up. Well, that started working so well, we wanted to expand that, because we got about 40 to 50 people a month coming to our vegetable stand. And then last year, more and more people were really appreciative in our community of that vegetable stand. We applied for a government grant from the Department of Agriculture, and we were accepted. The grant was for $300,000 to expand an existing community garden and a food pantry. And we had just started the food pantry, hooked up with the Northeast Arkansas Food Bank, because we're a 501c3, got registered with them. We started getting groceries, and I think we paid something like 14 cents a pound for the food. And then they give us a lot of free food. And we opened up the pantry. And from that time on, we start, the grant was approved. We got the money. We got, the money. It's a 3-year grant. We're still into the grant right now. We purchased property next door that was for sale to expand our community garden, and other property that has a building on it, a house that's a 1-bedroom house with a kitchen and everything. And we're going to move and expand the food pantry into that building, because right now we're working out of a 12 by 12 building that I built. And as of to this date, I just checked with my coordinator, my food coordinator. We're feeding over 700 people a month through our food pantry right now. And when we expand that over the next 2 years, we hope to be reaching up around 4,000, not only in Lake City, and we got people coming from different counties and different cities now. So if we can expand, that's what I told them in the grant, if we can expand it to where we're feeding 4,000 people, because we're in the area where we're at in rural Arkansas. There's no grocery stores unless you drive 15 or 20 miles to the nearest town. So we're kind of like a food island. We're the only pantry here, and the people in Lake City and the surrounding areas are really appreciative of that. I mean, they've been supporting us. They'll even bring food that they have extra to put in the pantry and donate it to us. They donate time. Now they're coming over and helping clean up the parking lot and stuff like that. So it's been a real community venture. Brings the community together. When people find out that you're
by you doing this, you've unified the community and got the more community involvement in this.
Yes.
In the project and everything, which I think is absolutely fabulous. I can't say anything more except I'm proud to know that we finally have pagans out there who are showing another side of us,
right,
that needs to be presented. Yeah, because too many people have been in the shadows for so many years.
Right. There's a guy and his wife come to pick up food pantry about 2 weeks ago, and I happened to walk across the street to the pantry.
Now, are you getting any donations and everything coming in from grocery stores and stuff like that around the neighboring communities and stuff? And how did you go about? How is your reception there? Well,
it's been really well. I mean, we had 2 grocery stores last summer that was donating the excess that they had, and I had the fortunate. One of our church members worked in the local grocery store, and she handled the produce, so it was automatic. Anything extra they had, she called us and we went and picked it up. And we've had a good response for that. But going back to what you were saying earlier, people have, once you get out into your communities, if you're a church or a coven, and you start working, building within that community, people's perceptions of you change. I had a guy and his wife come up the other day and said, he's carrying his groceries out of the pantry, and he looked at me and said, a lot of people in this town have got y'all stereotyped. I said, yeah, I know. He goes, no, seriously. A lot of people have got you stereotyped in this town. I said, you know what I found out, though? He said, what's that? When people are hungry, they don't care about stereotypes. And he
exactly.
Hey, boy, you got that right. And he went on out and got in his car. I said, when they're hungry, they don't care about stereotypes.
Nope. When you're hungry, and I think, like I said, I think it's a very honorable thing you're doing, an excellent thing you're doing. I wish more of us would do this in the community itself, because in our pagan community, if we could get more involvement and actually involving yourself in the community you're in,
right,
people will shed a better light. It sheds a better light on us and who we are.
Yeah, and it changes people's opinion, because right after we started doing this, we got the Home Depot deal years ago. And we started building people's, Home Depot would give us stuff for every month. And we started putting up storm doors and storm windows for the elderly and low income people in Lake City. People seen us doing that. And then we started the pantry. And 5 years ago, City of Lake City asked us if we wanted to put a float in the annual Christmas parade. And I said, yeah. And we won first place that first year. And we won the second place and another first place last year. We've done it 5 years in a row. And at first, people didn't know how to take that. But now, when we get our float out there and we're going through the parade, we'll go around the corner and the people gather by the old school and they go, here come the Wiccans, here come the Wiccans. They get excited. So, and then we all meet down at the firehouse. They give out hot dogs and trophies, and everybody treats us just like everybody else out there now. Yeah.
Well, like I'm going to sit there and say to make a kind of a PSA here, a public service announcement here, on behalf of the magazine, that to try to encourage more pagans to go out there. If you have a church, if you, and I think you'll agree with me on this, Terry, if you have a church, if you have a coven, right, volunteer your time and services to the local food banks, to the local soup kitchens.
Yeah,
Things like that.
We've even got an adopted highway program. We've been working for 12 years.
Do not make it a matter of religion or anything else. That's the one key thing. Don't make it a matter of religion. That's, I think you, Terry, you and I probably totally agree with that.
Because a lot of the churches that are in the bigger towns, you go to their food pantry, they want you to come to one of their sermons or come to church. But we've had people say that, try to be derogatory about what we're doing. And the people that we got on our Facebook group for our pantry, they get on there and defend us, say, look, these people are the nicest. When you go in there, all they do is you got to sign your name saying you're getting that food. They don't bring up religion. They said they just give you the food because you're needing it. Said, leave the witches alone. They're doing good work.
Right.
Yeah. And well, I will add to this. I will actually add to this. When I was up in Minnesota, there is a small group up in northwest Minnesota, and the local pagan group up there, they will work with the local nuns to do the community meals together.
Mm-hmm.
And it made news.
Oh, yeah.
And the write-up was very well done. I was very proud of that.
Right.
And I was surprised by it, but I was very happy to see that.
Yeah, we've had, in the past 2 years, we've had the local TV stations here and in Little Rock come out and do stories on our food pantry and stuff because we're pagans, and it's been positive stories, and that helped us get the word out and stuff. Well, the times, they are changing. Still got a lot of work to do. There's still a lot of people out there that, have misconceptions and stuff, but hey, we're working on it and we're making change happen. So
do you see in the future, other than operating the food bank, do you see in the future for yourself maybe offering a soup kitchen as well, or possibly, or?
Well, I don't know about a soup kitchen because then you get into health regulations and stuff with the health stuff. But I have looked into getting other grants, because if you're a 501c3, there's a lot of grants out there you can apply for the government from, but all the money has to go into the community projects. I have looked into applying for a grant after we get done with this one for community housing, low income housing. You can get a grant if you're a church and purchase apartments and stuff with that grant money and then rent them out to low income families. Now, there's a lot of people around here that are homeless, even in our small town.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking about, to help the homeless community a little more, and that to try to help.
And they got a bunch of grants out there that are available for tax exempt churches that you can do just that. What we did, we just applied for the grant, didn't know if we'd get it or not, and 3 months later said, you've been approved. I said, okay, great.
Right. Well, like I said, your work is highly, I'm very proud to see that, your work and what you're doing, Terry, is very, very much there. It shows what we are.
Yeah. It shows that we're not just a bunch of people.
All religions have the same one tenet. All religions have one tenet in common.
Right.
And that is, and harm you none, do what you will, as our tenet is.
Right.
Or do unto others as you would have done unto you.
Right.
Or treat others as you would wish to be treated. It's all the same. The golden rule is the one tenet that sticks with all religions. And
they all promote the same thing, a love consciousness. If we just start caring about one another and helping one another, then the world will be a lot nicer place to live in.
And I think that's one thing we have to keep in mind, right?
Right.
Is that, when we're presenting ourselves, remember, as Wiccans, and that we have to remember that one part of the read.
Right.
And harm none to what you will. Do unto others as you would have do unto you.
Right.
Treat everybody equally and fairly. Mm-hmm. Fairly take and fairly give. That's another part of the read that people need to remember.
Right. I mean, and it's simple things. I mean, we went to the World Parliament of Religions in August this year because me and Ivy Moon, my high priestess at the time, they offered us to do a workshop at World Parliament of Religions, and we went up there and done it, and it was on how to create a community garden and start a food pantry, and it was well received. And every religion that was represented at the World Parliament of Religions was focused on the same thing: helping your fellow human beings that are in need. And we were well received at World Parliament, even though, and there was a lot of pagans represented there. And we had a circle out there, and there was probably, I'd say, about 300 of us out there that circled one night on the steps of the World Parliament of Religion. So, paganism and Wicca is the fastest growing religions in the United States. And the more we get out there and the more we put ourselves available to who we are and what we are, the more people are going to be attracted to the faith. Sincerely.
Right, and more people are going to be accepting of us.
Right, exactly.
Instead of the stereotyping and the negative aspects that we've had over the course of the many years.
Oh yeah.
I want to see, like I said, what you're doing is, I'm proud to say thank you.
Thank you for giving me a chance to even talk about it here on your show and everything. I mean,
because what you're doing is amazing.
Yeah,
and like I said, with the whole aspect of like what we're trying to do and what we're trying to present ourselves, this is what you're setting an example, Terry, and you're setting a really good one. Mm. And I hope other people in our community start following your lead and your example on this and start doing some of the things that you're doing.
Well, it's not. I'm not saying that it's easy, but it is possible. And, if you care about people, I was listening, the food bank had a conference up here they invited us to of world church leaders on how to feed the hungry and how to help people. And there was a little black minister up there from Ohio. And he was talking about things that I firmly believe in. He said, what you need to understand is if you're a minister of any faith, he goes, and if you don't care about people and your church is not working in the community, you need to get out of the business. Yeah, you got to care about people. Yeah, you got to care about people, and you got to get out there and help those people. If you can do those two things, then you're definitely a clergy. You're working
right.
out.
That's very true.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to take a quick time out for station break, and we'll be back more with Terry Riley from the Southern Delta Working Church. Yeah. Hang tight. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back in just about 2 minutes here.
Come explore our newest publication called Today's Witch, a premium monthly magazine that explores spiritual and metaphysical concepts. Look for it in a store nearest you or visit our website at todayswitch.net. We look forward to your patronage and readership.
What's going on, everybody? Cloud the Pagan Rapper here, and you're listening to Iowa Pagan News Radio.
All right. We are back with Terry Riley, and we've been enjoying this conversation because, Terry, I have to also give you credit because what you're doing down there is just fantastic for the community. And
thank you.
Like what Ed said, I'm really hoping that others will see this and also try to do the same thing what you're doing.
Well, you don't have to be on that big of a scale either. I mean, I'm teaching all my people in the church and everybody around here. I said, look, if you're living in an apartment and you got a little bitty small back porch, You can grow a bunch of tomato plants in 5-gallon buckets, and then you can take that and take it down to your local food pantry and donate it there. I mean, everything contributes to the better good. On a small, if you only got a little bit of area to do some planting and you want to do it, go ahead and do it. Because it's going to be appreciated. And anything you can do, help your local food pantries. I've even worked with the Salvation Army, because to me, it doesn't matter who gets the credit. What matters is the people get what they need and they get the help that they need.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not an ego thing. When you're doing it, you're doing it for the benefit of helping society and living the ways of the craft, which to begin with is supposed to be living within nature and our human race itself.
Right. And
and that's so if you're going to legitimately practice the craft, right, then legitimately practice the craft. Help other people, do fairly take and fairly give.
Right. And
treat everybody with the same kindness and respect that you would expect from them.
Right. Yeah.
That sets an example.
Yeah. I agree. Now, that's not to say that you're going to be a doormat and let everybody walk all over you. I'm not saying that, and I don't think you are either. However, if you just genuinely care about people, automatically you're sending out an energy field of that emotion. And people are going to receive that deep within their subconscious mind. They may not even know why they like you because you are a witch or whatever, but they feel that. So, if you're sending out that true vibration and going out in the goodness of your heart with the right intent, then you're going to have nothing but success. What goes around comes around. Now, if you happen to be attacked like I was in 93 and this, that, and the other, I mean, you got to stand your ground. I mean, I do agree with the Wiccan read, and it harm none, do what thy wilt, and unless it be in self-defense of thy life. That's another part of the read. Well, my life is my physical life, my mental life, my emotional life, and my spiritual life. I will defend that if I'm attacked. So we're not saying that you have to be, a doormat. I mean, you stand up for what's right and stuff, but if you're generally trying to help people, there's less tendency they're going to attack you if they can see that you're not what they thought you were. And all those misconceptions, those stereotypes just start being stripped away, and they see you as a person in your own community that lives, breathes, works, and dies and helps that community. Then what they say is, I may not agree with their religion, but they have a place here because they're helping the community. They don't have to agree with your religion. They just got to look at you as a human being like everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And like I said, I think, this is an excellent way to present a good face for our community as a whole, as well. But also in your own community, outside of here, we need to, people have too many stigmatisms, too many stereotypes about witches.
Yeah, they do. And to this day, they still do.
However, it's also the most growing religion out there right now.
Right.
Is paganism. People are turning more towards it because of the fact they're turning more towards the spirituality as opposed to the religion.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I read an article about 2 years ago where it says that the pagans and the study that they done, that paganism and Wicca outnumber the Presbyterians in numbers. I think we outnumber them over a little over 100,000 now in the United States. So, we're growing.
Well, we remember back in the 90s, the original first growth progress between 92 and everything else that we went through.
Yeah.
We go through spurts, growth spurts, if you will,
right,
in the pagan community. I know that. I mean, and you and I have seen it, Terry, we've been around for
don't tell them how old we are now. We're older.
We've been around. We've been around the block for a few years.
Yeah. Let's go with that. That's good.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
And so paganism is growing and expanding, because people are tired of the stigma of not just the dogmatism and the total domination of religion anymore. And they're recognizing that pagans are free thinkers and free religion type people. We are. You know, as long as you follow a certain, you don't have to follow my path, you don't have to follow your path.
Right.
But as long as you follow some path towards a spiritual path towards enlightenment, you're good to go.
You know, Henry David Thoreau once said that most men live quiet lives of desperation. And the reason for that is they have no purpose. Their life has no meaning. Most people go to work, they'll live their lives, and they live up to, they spend their time working, trying to get the things, trying to get the American dream, trying to get this, and then they die. And then after a few generations, they're forgotten. Well, I decided years and years ago that I wasn't going to live like that. I felt that, why am I here? There's got to be more to life than just going to work, paying your bills, and living that kind of life,
Mm-hmm.
And when I found Wicca and I found the gods, now my life had purpose. It had meaning. I wake up every morning now because excited, because we got a pantry. We just had to go get the load for the food pantry from the food bank today. I was excited about that. I'm excited about the pantry being open tomorrow and the people coming in and getting the food.
Right.
I'm excited. My life has purpose out beyond the mundane. I fulfill like my life means something more so than just ordinary, And I feel
it's like, in my experience too, it's been similar. I did the same thing. I got taught, the mundane, run around, do the same thing over and over again, and then go, what is my purpose? I mean, I had to test the faith. And I remember I shared this story with you years ago, but I had to test the faith where I took my rat tail necklace and ripped it off my neck and threw it and turned around and said to the goddess, what is my purpose?
Mm-hmm.
And I heard one answer: teach.
Mm-hmm.
So now look what I'm doing with my magazine and everything. It's a tool for learning and a tool for, growth and understanding and teaching. So each of us do have a divine purpose underneath the God and Goddess.
Right.
And all it takes is for us to ask for that purpose, and we will get an answer.
Yeah. You know what? Is it a coincidence, Ed, that your name is Ed? And
what's that?
Is it a coincidence that your name is Ed and you're a teacher of spirituality? You're a teacher, and the Latin word for knowledge is Ed.
Yep.
Educate.
But so this is what I'm saying. If you ask for your purpose, believe me, the God and Goddess will answer.
Oh yeah. Now, a lot of times you may not like that answer because your ego won't understand it at the time. Because when I said, hey, back in '93, I'm going to stand up for paganism. I'm going to stand up for Wicca against this, oppression and this discrimination. And when I topped that hill during the march, and I seen 5,000 people blocking the road with a wooden cross, and the police had to get out of their cars and line up on both sides of us and lock arms so we could pierce that crowd, I turned to my fellow marchers and went, we might have took this a bit far, but we kept marching, So sometimes you have to, the meaning of courage is not never being afraid. The meaning of courage is when you're scared to death, you do it anyway. You just keep going.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is to will, to dare, to be silent, and to know.
Yeah.
The witch's pyramid.
Right.
And it makes sense in life. you know, you need all four of those elements and all four of those four aspects of the pyramid to evolve.
Oh yeah, it's the only it's a spell of making.
You have to know when to be silent.
Yeah.
And that's when you open yourself to the other senses.
Right.
And learn. You have to know when to know. And that's when you use the actual senses you have, the 5 physical senses you have in order to thing. I remember our little lesson on that with the sound lesson. That was awesome.
Oh yeah.
Remember when we had everybody open their eyes first, then close their eyes afterwards and do that?
I remember that. Yeah.
That was a great lesson. And then you have, of course, to will, which is one of the things that a lot of us are, is we use our wills. This is to get things done. You had to will your way into getting things done, you know, fill out all the paperwork you need to fill out, make sure that you can get all the things. That's where the action takes place. Right. And to dare and challenge is the challenge part of it.
Right.
It's what obstacles are going to come into your thing, and whether you react in fear, which is an acronym, by the way. It means either fuck everything and run, future events appearing real, or face everything and recover.
Right. Or false evidence appearing real. Yeah, that's what I found that to be. Yeah. And so many times, you know, you're faced with challenges in life. You know, my teacher told me years ago, I was complaining to him. I said, man, I got so many problems in my life right now. I said, this is happening and that's happening. And he looked at me, he said, well, now, Terry, he said, your challenges are there to help you grow. I said, yeah, but I've got so many. He goes, then be thankful. I said, for what? He goes, that means you're growing rapidly. I went, screw you. But he was right. He was right. But you have a lot of challenges. I mean, I don't know, most of your viewers know or not. I mean, I went through a big challenge in May of this year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had a quadruple bypass surgery and 2 spots of cancer found on my lungs and stuff. But I went through that challenge and it was tough. Yeah, I'm fine now. You know, I don't have any signs of cancer. That was all cut out and the heart's doing great and everything. But when I woke up in the ICU and they got me back in my room, now my chest is all, you know, I got the scars and stuff like that. I was laying there in my bed all by myself. Nobody was in there. And I'm sitting there thinking, what am I supposed to learn from this? You know, and then this little phrase came into my head that I read years ago in a book called Illusions by Richard Bach. And it was, here's a little test to find out if your life's mission on earth is finished or not. If you're alive, it's not. I went, well, I guess I got more to do. The gods have plans for me. I am thankful for that. So I just kept on moving, you know. Yeah.
Well, like I said, it's good, really good. It's been really good. I think we need to cut this off. Like I said, this interview was for the magazine too, so we could have a discussion with you and put it in the magazine. I thank you for your time, Terry.
All right.
Thank you for the interview. It's always a pleasure, as you know.
I've had a ball, guys. I love it. I love both of you too. So blessed be.
And I look forward to coming back to Arkansas and paying you a visit again and
come on
down and just having fun.
We'll feed you some beans and taters and cornbread.
Yeah, I look forward to that in the future.
All right.
All right, Terry. Well, thank you for coming on. Do appreciate you. And you still got a lot more to do yet. Because Terry and I were talking before we came on live that he's not quite in the shape to do what was it?
Cartwheels. I'm almost ready to do my cartwheels again. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I thought for sure that earlier you did perfectly shaped for that. So anyway,
right, here we go. You.
All right, Terry. Thanks for coming.
Thanks
appreciate it. And you've been listening to another edition Pagan Artist Spotlight on the National Pagan Network. And as always, if you've got, if you like to reach out to us, feel free to reach out to me directly at paganartistspotlight@gmail.com. You can also get through to Terry through the Southern Delta Church, which is you can find them on Facebook. You can also get through to Terry on his Facebook page as well. If you like more information on the food pantry and what he's doing for the community down there. So with that being said, I'm going to say pleasant journeys to everyone. Thank you for coming in and tuning in and being a part of Pagan Artist Spotlight on a regular basis. Have a great day, all, and we're going to be out of here for the day.
Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast. All shows are recorded and available for download at plrdn.podbean.com. All rights are reserved and may not be replayed without written permission by IAPN Radio Management. Come join us at our new group, IAPN Radio on Facebook, where you can be kept up to date for future broadcasts. Pleasant journeys, everyone.